Well, in 1966, John Lennon of the Beatles famously said, "Christianity will go, it will vanish and shrink. I don't need to argue about that. I know I'm right, and I will be proved right." He might have imagined a lot of things, but he was wrong about this one. And many thought lockdown might be yet another nail in the coffin for Christianity in the West, but actually the opposite has proved true. The Guardian reported last week that now a quarter of adults had tuned in for church services, even higher amongst, surprisingly, young people. A third of millennials have tuned in for online church. Can you believe it? Supposedly 1 in 5 online church attendees have never gone to church in their lives. Google reports skyrocketing searches for prayer and Christianity. App stores report increased downloads of the Bible. Christian bookstore Eden says Bible sales rose by 55% in April. Alpha Course says turnout has doubled. Now, in some sense, this is instinctive in times of suffering, but I don't know about you, I've never known a time in my life when people have been more open to God's word than right now. Distractions are at an all-time low. Faith in human ability to keep things together is shaken, and people have been forced to engage with life's big questions and have more time to hear the gospel. Imagine what God could do. Imagine how amazing it would be to see your friend come to faith in lockdown. But how do we evangelize? Especially, how do we evangelize in lockdown? Now, just to be clear what I mean by evangelism, God's people have a big mission. Our mission encapsulates all that we're called to do as God's people in the world, including living for Jesus and loving our neighbor. Lots of ways we can do that in lockdown: baking cakes, collecting prescriptions. That is mission. In the Bible, the word evangelism specifically means to actually tell people the good news of Jesus. Now, some Christians have an amazing gift for that. They find it totally intuitive. Others, probably most of us, find it hard to get it into conversation. So, here we go. 10 tips to help us evangelize in lockdown. Number 1, pray by name. Now look, okay, we all know we need to pray, but imagine you were building a house and you laid out all of your tools: hammer, level, drill. Now imagine you want to evangelize and you lay out all of your tools. You got the Bible, phone, books, 24/7 access to the God who created the universe, and laptop. It's a no-brainer. Let's be intentional with our prayers to God. Make a list of the people God has put in your life who need to hear the gospel. Why not put post-it notes with their names where you can't miss it? The fridge, dinner table, bathroom mirror. People aren't coming to your house right now anyway. Ask God to reach them every time you see the note. I guarantee the reason most of us, maybe all of us, are Christians today is because somebody somewhere prayed for us. Number 2, social media. Now, supposedly the average Brit spends 2 hours a day on social media. I'm sure that has shot up in lockdown. Scrolling through cat videos, random interviews with people. Why not share a sermon or video about faith to a group or an individual? Don't bombard, but maybe post it with a question saying, "What do you think of this? I'd love your opinion." Invite people's engagement. Maybe follow up with a phone call saying, "What did you think of that video I posted?" Maybe post a favorite Christian hymn or song and say why you love it and how it's helped you over the years. Or you could post a photo from your life and tell just a small part of your testimony. People love stories. You could start, "This was such a significant moment in my life because it taught me about ... God's love." Social media is a great platform for evangelism. Number 3, handwritten letters. Most people today don't get handwritten letters. Receiving a handwritten letter is magical. It's like getting something through the post from Hogwarts. It makes people's day. It is jam-packed with personality, love, and time. And in an age where texting is cheap, letters cause people to slow down, sit down, and read them quite differently. Well, why not tell someone about your lockdown and include one thing in the letter that you love about God, the gospel, prayer, or church? It doesn't have to be a sermon, but it's something you found encouraging. And maybe you could write, P.S. if you ever want to talk about faith, give me a call anytime. Number 4, talk about a movie. Now this is probably one of my favorite ways to talk about faith. I find it easy to talk about movies. Everyone watches movies and TV shows, especially now. People are really up for recommendations. Well, why not recommend a movie or show to a friend by text and then phone them to ask what they thought about it? And when they ask you, you could say, well, as a Christian, it brought up some interesting themes. I guarantee you, every film has a way into the gospel because every story has something to say about good, evil, suffering, saviors, rescue, restoration. If you throw in a bombshell after Toy Story 4 that it reminded you of the Christian story, I bet you people's ears will prick up. And of course, you could also encourage people to watch a great Christian TV show. On the blog, we recommended The Chosen, which is a great TV show about the life of Jesus. Why not recommend that to a friend as well? Number 5, ask a question. I once went to a seminar with a guy who had done street evangelism, and he said after 40 years of doing it, he finds by far the best way into a conversation about faith is asking a question. Something like, would you consider yourself religious? What do you think about spiritual things? Have you ever been to church? So why not when you're gardening, standing in checkout, queuing for a supermarket, clapping the NHS, why not ask somebody a question and really listen to their answer? This guy said the key then is to ask follow-up questions. So you say, you consider yourself religious? They say, no. Well, were your parents religious? Oh yeah, they went to church sometimes. Well, what did they make of it? What did you make of that? Show an interest, ask questions. I'm sure after a while they'll ask you back. And if they don't, well, ask them, well, could I tell you my experience? Ask a question. Number 6, offer to pray. Lots of people are struggling right now. And when you catch up with friends or family, why not ask if there's anything you can be praying for them? I know lots of Christians have told me that they've been so surprised that they've never met anyone really who is offended by an offer for prayer. This communicates volumes about the hope we have in Jesus. It's a real act of love and no doubt has the opportunity to lead to further conversations. Number 7, turn up the volume. This is a silly one really, but why not watch the Sunday online service or listen to a sermon or Christian music in your garden? I'm not talking so loud that the neighbour's dog has a fit, they have to call the police, but you never know who might quietly tune in. Number 8, give a book as a present. People love receiving gifts, and the secret is always something that's thoughtful. This is a great time to bake someone bread, send them flowers, maybe send a personalized jigsaw puzzle with a photo of you guys on it. But why not include a Christian book that you found helpful and write a little note that says why you found it helpful? You're not putting pressure on them, it's just a gift. Number 9, start a book club. Online book clubs are apparently growing in popularity. Or why not join one or start one with friends? It doesn't have to be a Christian book. A bit like films, every story has themes that cross over with the gospel, and you can easily say things like, that moment with sacrifice is really pertinent for me as a Christian because, well, nothing's made a bigger impact on my life. Or that moment with the adoption, that really made me think about what God's done for me as a Christian. Alternatively, you might like to suggest a Christian book designed for unbelievers, like Confronting Christianity or Questions Christians Hope No One Will Ask. There's lots of books like them. Why don't you text some friends saying, hey, I'm thinking of starting a book club, looking at this new book. No pressure, but do you fancy joining? The worst they can say is no, or they're a bit busy with work, but you never know who might say yes. Number 10, dive in with both feet. Ask someone if they want to read the Bible with you. The Bible is dynamite. God's word is living and active. It tells people who God is, who they are, why we're here, how we're lost, how to be found. Why not ask a friend? Look, the Bible's the best-selling book of all time. I've found some amazing things in there that totally surprised me. Do you fancy checking it out sometime together? Of course, some will say no, but some might say yes. And if they do, don't plan a 9-week course commitment. Pick a simple passage, get on Zoom, ask them to read the passage out. Don't plan a big study. Ask them what they think it says, what they think it means. Listen to their comments, answer their questions. Be normal, relational, enjoy it, keep it short, and then ask if they want to try it again. You don't need to be a Bible scholar. If they ask you a question you don't know the answer, just say, "It's a good question. Let me have a think about that. I'll check it out. I'll get back to you soon." Healthy evangelism isn't winning debates. It's been described once as one beggar showing another beggar where to find good food. And the history of the Christian church is God doing extraordinary things through extraordinary people. So there we go, 10 tips for evangelism in lockdown. Imagine what God could do.